So the date is July the 27th, and I have decided that I'm going to cycle across Europe. I have only ever cycled for commuting. Usually, probably the longest bike ride I've ever done is probably like an hour straight. I guess I'm going to come on to this later, but I'll talk about how I'm going to train for it and everything like that. And if I didn't say, I'm giving myself 1 month. So the date in which I'll be departing for the trip is on the 29th. That's just because it's a couple of days after the 27th, because that's when the weekend starts. Holiday time off work needed. So that's the plan. So the reason I want to do this trip is because I already had a trip where I was gonna do some backpacking around sort of Southeast Asia and India earlier in the year for, well, probably about 30 days, but that got cancelled due to coronavirus. So I've decided that the safest bet is to use that holiday time, because use it or lose it, use it to cycle across Europe. My logic there is, once you're on a bike, and if you have only got your backpack or bags with your clothes in, and your tent and your sleeping bag, and you're on a bike pedaling your way across Europe, no one can really stop you. It doesn't really matter what lockdown rules or restrictions happen, you'll just keep it to yourself in your tent on your bike. So you're not really getting in anyone's way, and no one's getting in your way. So that is the logic of the cycle trip. So where am I starting and where am I ending up? The plan is to get the ferry from Dover to Dunkirk and start the bike ride from there. And the end goal, which is optimistic, is Istanbul in Turkey. Now, do I necessarily think I'm going to get there? I don't know. As I say, I've not really done much long distance cycling before. Well, any. So it's going to be a serious challenge, and the training will need to be pretty brutal to get there. So I will probably, after this, show a map of the rough route that I'm planning to get there, but in no way is it a fixed route. I don't know how long I'm going to spend each day in each place. I don't even know how long I can bike for. I don't know, really anything. So it's going to be very interesting to see how my original plan maps out to how it is in reality. So let's show the map then. So this is the full map of the trip. Now I'm gonna zoom in on each place along the way and explain where I'll be stopping. So the first day, obviously after I get to Dunkirk, is going to be waking up in the sort of Dunkirk, Belgian border area. I may camp or stay like over here, just because I'll arrive at about 5 p.m. here, meaning I've got a little bit of time to get a little bit of progress. This city looks of a good spot to stay, as any really, so I may stop there on the first night. On the first day, heading over to the first city, which is Ghent in Belgium, and then again on the first day over to a place called Aalst in Belgium, avoiding Brussels, because that is just a nightmare I don't want to get part of. So I'm actually going to refer to this as the third day, because I'm going to include the day of getting to Dunkirk as day one. So on the third day, waking up in Aalst in Belgium and cycling to Genk in Belgium, which is here. This map is in the local language, so some of the words aren't quite correct in English, and here it's just under the number 3 actually, the word Genk. And that is where I'm actually staying. That's just one city in that day. On the fourth day, getting up and cycling from Belgium over the border to a place which I dare pronounce, Maastricht, Netherlands, and then through the Netherlands all the way to Düren in Germany. So that's actually 3 cities within one day. And then down here to a place called Heimbach. Again, I'm terrible with pronunciations, these are all going to get butchered. So day 4 is quite a big one there, going through 3 different countries in one day. Day 5, I'm starting out in Heimbach and then cycling down to a place called Prüm, maybe. And then again further down to a place called Waldendorf, Wollendorf, Germany. I have just realised I should probably be saying the distances between these. All the distances so far have been around the 120k mark. So on day 6, that's it, I'm cycling from Waldorf down to Luxembourg City down here. I don't know why the checkpoint marker's up there, because Luxembourg's down here. So I'm going to Luxembourg City and then down to Metz in France down here. So again, that's another day where I'm going through 3 different countries. And then a little bit further down to a national park, actually, Cornissol-Morcellet, France. God knows how that's pronounced. So that's what day 6 looks like. Day 7 is just one stop, which is from down there all the way through Nancy and down to Epinal. That's where the stop point will be. Day 8, starting in Epinal, and we're cycling all the way down through a national park, all the way down to the Swiss border of Basel. So day 9, this is now in Switzerland, and it's probably going to get pretty brutal around here. So skirting along that German border all the way over to Zurich, and then cycling along this beautiful scenery down to a place called Staffa. Day 10, setting off from Staffa, and we're heading over to Liechtenstein, which is just over here. So we're just going just over the border, and we're staying there for the night, because that's going to be a hard day of cycling. Then on day 11, we're on now, heading over from Liechtenstein, which is this tiny little section here, over to Austria, and then cycling from Bludenz, Austria, to Innsbruck, which is right over here. It's actually a nice little city, or town, I should say. I've already looked into it. Nice mountainous region, looks really cool. Day 12. And we're going to be heading from Innsbruck, Austria, to Italy, a place called Bruneck, right here. As you can see, this is actually a very mountainous region. This whole area is just super mountainous. So that's the Italian border right there. So we're just crossing over. Next day we're leaving. So waking up on Italy on day 13. And heading over to a place called Kirchbach, Austria, which is here. That does not look very far for the first stop. I guess that must be a very intensive ride, because that works out 120k. So doesn't look very far at all. So I'm kind of surprised about that. But yep, that's the whole of day 13. So waking up in Kirchbach and heading over to a place called Prodnat in Slovenia, which is here, just crossing over the Slovenian border, and then staying there in Prodnat. You can see the capital not that far away. So setting off on day 15 from Prodnat, heading right down to here, which is just on the border here with Croatia, to a place called Krško, maybe with a K. So yeah, that's day 15. Day 16, waking up in Slovenia and heading across the Croatian border to Zagreb, then heading further down through the country over to a place called Popovka in Croatia. Setting off on day 17, this is another one city stop, heading from Provka all the way down here to Slovenský Brod in Croatia again. This is where the mileage starts to increase, because most days up to here it was like 120k days. Now it's starting to creep up to like 130, 140k per day. Now on day 18, the place that I'm going after Slovenský Brod is a place I dare not announce, or pronounce I should say. Over here it's called Bijeljina in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Absolutely no idea how that's pronounced, but there's the Bosnian border, just crossing over that for a very short amount of time, but I will be staying there for the night. So waking up in the unpronounceable place on day 19, heading over to Moravcia, Serbia, which is a long way. right down here. Here we go. Morvkivia. So this is the first day in Serbia. Day 20. I've just realised that might be pronounced Moravacci, then Morvkivia, whatever the hell I said. So one of those two pronunciations. And then heading into another almost equally unpronounceable place in Serbia, right down here in the wildlands, Gok Sansia. I'm just going to stop saying these soon because they're just impossible. And that's day 20. Day 21, waking up and heading down to Kosovo, actually. So just crossing over the Kosovo border, visiting a little town called Leshka, and then over this mountain, and then back round out the other side, round that U-bend, down here, and then staying here for the night in a place called Valhalninja, Serbia. Day 22 now, so a lot of the trip has been done, hopefully. Heading over, one stop this time again, over to a place, here we go, a place called Pirot in Serbia. Day 23, heading from Pirot in Serbia down to Sofia in Bulgaria, the capital city. I've actually been there before already, unlike most of the places on this trip. I've already been there. And then heading down to camp for the night, down here in a nature park, or national park, called Varinsko in Bulgaria. Day 24, Varinsko to Haskovo, which is right down here, going through many big cities, right here. Then the penultimate day, Haskovo across the Turkish border to a place which is called Lüleburgaz in Turkey. And then the final stretch from Lul, I'm just going to call it, to Istanbul, right here. Pretty big place, and that is the trip. So if we zoom out again, you'll see this was the Turkish-Bulgarian stretch. This is starting to include a little bit of Serbia now, further going out. Now heading up past Kosovo, up to Croatia, then further back we're including Austria and all those Central European places, right back to Dunkirk. So one last thing before we start going into all the videos of the cycling prep is the logistics of it. So it is going to be a bike packing trip. So it will be me with my bike and a tent and a sleeping bag and all the other little bits and bobs that go with that. And I will be mostly camping. On the first night when I get to France, or if I might go across the border to Belgium on the first night, not sure, I will probably stay in a hostel or an Airbnb or something like that. After that, it will be majority camping, but because it's going to be 30 days, I'm going to need to stay in a hostel at some point just to like wash clothes and recharge the batteries, you could say. So yeah, but that is the main plan, is camping. Now how I'm getting back, there is going to be a cut-off point probably around the Croatia mark, which is going to be, I've predicted, will be roughly like halfway. I mean, I'll probably end up collapsing way before there, but if the plan goes to plan, is turn around and cycle back from Croatia, because that will potentially be the halfway mark. If I do not want to cycle back, I can continue across Eastern Europe down to Turkey, and then the plan is to fly back on a plane with the bike. That's like the stretch goal. So Croatia, halfway mark, cycle back. Or if I think I can continue and I will make it as the plan intended, I can then continue to cycle to Istanbul and fly back on a plane. But that's the scary bit, is going through them countries where there's not much creature comfort, there's not much help, and it could get scary. So that's the logistics of the trip. I've got no return flights, nothing, no way of getting back booked. I will be leaving to Dunkirk on a ferry and no way of coming home initially. So, training and fitness, this is the last thing. I think I've probably said that already, but this is the last thing. Is I'm going to be cycling every single day in the run-up to the trip. Well, we've selected rest days in between, but as I say, I don't even know what my 10 kilometer time is right now. I don't even know 10k time, and I'm predicting that I'm probably going to have to do around about I can't even remember now. It's like maybe 120k a day, roughly, maybe a bit more than that. So I need to find out my 10k time first on a bike so that I can start to extrapolate that out to predict things more accurately. Obviously, it doesn't give a great estimate, but it gives some estimate. So my plan is to then just keep upping the cycling every day. So tomorrow, which is when this training will start, is tomorrow, 10k. Next day 20k, next day 30 day, and that's the plan. I'm sure it may change, but that is the initial plan. So that'll be the training, and along with that there'll have to be a nutrition increase, because I eat a pretty modest diet. Probably gonna have to increase all the calories, the carbs, the proteins, just to let my body keep up with the intense cycling towards the peak of the training. So that's the plan. That's the fitness, that's the nutrition, that's the logistics. Now let's get into the preparation.